So we've got 7 people having joined and taken the poll. We would invite everybody to do that. If you may please join this link.
Those who just arrived, requesting if you can scan the QR code and take a poll. Namaste, welcome. Please join us in front. Please. Namaste, sir. Please welcome. If you can come in front. I'll join them. I'll call them, sir. We'll have reserved space for them. Please, feel free. We have a session. Let me just start slightly informally so you guys, that ice is broken and the food is churning. I know the post-lunch sessions are one of the worst sessions a teacher has, okay? So right now we are experiencing the same, and it's our moral obligation to ensure these guys have the best of the time, okay? So we'll introduce the panel in a while. But in the meantime,
anybody who had any memory of having watched a test cricket match, the session after the lunch in particular? And generally what happens post-lunch session immediately?
Since we have a choice,
no, definitely, sir. We all have choices, and we have made a choice to ensure that your time spent with us is worth your time spent with us. Right? So without any further delay, we begin with today's session. It's 1:36. Excuse me, sir, if you can get the doors closed so that we don't get disturbed. In case if someone wants to join, they can join. All right, I warmly welcome. My name is Vishal, and basically you are here for the session, sharing the roadmap for setting up a school career counseling cell, essentially, or department for that matter. So let me introduce you to the panel, today's panel. So we have Florina ma'am. First, she's from the land of Vada Pavs. Guesses? Land of Vada Pavs? Mumbai. Land, yeah, definitely. And she represents ICAC school. And she's a principal at Ramnivas Bajaj English High School, Mumbai. Next, we have a lady from Green City, as they call. Any guesses? Are you sure, or are you reading and telling me? It's written in the back. All right, this is a place, if you hit a stone, it is bound to get, someone getting hurt saying ouch, and that ouch person who is, saying is definitely going to be an engineer. So she comes from such a land. So Rashmi ma'am, welcome. And she's a secondary school coordinator. Basically, from what conversation which I had with her, she is the CEO of the school, basically. Now, when I say CEO, stands for Chief Exam Officer. So she has a very strong position on that, and she represents actually Vishwa Vidyapeeth School. The third on the panel we have Mr. Harshit Shah. He comes from the land of Mahatma Gandhi, where he studied. Okay, after grade 8, he studied over here from a place called Rajkot. Not very famous, if you're not aware, but it's becoming prominent on the map of India at least. And yes, yes, absolutely, famous for saris and automobiles, and definitely we have a hometown. A portion of his childhood was spent in Rajkot. So we have Harshit sir representing the Galaxy School, Wadi.
And we have Vishal sir. So probably just now the reference that he gave was Mahatma Gandhi, but then probably after a decade or two, the reference will be given the land from which Mr. Vishal Doshi comes. By the way, if any one of you happen to meet him, I'm still figuring out since a long while. He calls people Pokemon. So I once asked, what do you mean by that? Like, is it a compliment or what? So he said, well, there are good Pokemons and there are bad Pokemons also. So it's up to the receiver to interpret. Anyway, that was on a lighter note. So basically, he's a science faculty, biology faculty, and he facilitates the growth of genetics, but at the same time, he also facilitates and catalyzes growth and development of people around him and makes the environment all conducive for the growth and development. So here we go. I suppose we have got 21 people who have joined Slido, whereby I believe we have 30 odd people in this room. So the others, we welcome you all to kindly come and join this. You may want to scan this QR code, or you can just simply go to any of the web browsers, type www.slido.com and enter the joining code. And please welcome aboard.
Okay, guys, we're giving 30 seconds to the people who just, thank you for being over here, okay? Those who just showed up, please, we would like you to get on board with the slido.com, or you can scan. And we want you guys to take a poll, quick poll. And there is also tab of Q&A, just for your reference. On the side, on the left-hand side, Q&A, if you just click on that, you'll be able to post live questions on that. So we want you to do that during the session. So we'll take it, there is a session, part of the session where we are specifically talking about your specific questions. All good, guys? All on board? All right. So let's begin. So after that, thank you for the kind introduction, and that was very kind of you, Arshad sir. So now let's start off the bat, okay? If you guys can, brief me about your school background, because I know, but they don't know. So let us, quick take on like what kind of school and what kind of background you guys come from.
Right. So basically, I come from the Galaxy education system, which is there in Rajkot, Gujarat, India. And so basically, we've got 10,000 plus students, 1,000 plus faculties. And we have ICSE board, Cambridge program, IB curriculum. I do come from the unit which has pathway of Cambridge IGCSE and Cambridge AS and A levels, AIC diploma. And the unit where I come from, the Cambridge unit, it's more than 2 decades, but the whole, the Galaxy education system is more than 4 decades over there. Yeah, so we believe in R cube, RRR. Anybody who has not watched the movie RRR? Yeah, so your RRR, we mean rigor, relationships, and relevance. So we keep changing, evolving, learning, and that's how we grow over there at TGS.
Well, my school, Ramnivas Bajaj English High School, belongs to a huge campus called the Rajasthani Sammelan Education Trust. This is a 75-year-old campus. We began with 3 girl students, and today we have 17,000 students on the campus. We have 17 institutions, of which 4 are schools, offering the state board, Cambridge. My school offers the CISC curriculum. We also have a career counseling department, an institute on the campus. So it is a bustling place, but very typical to Mumbai. There are always space constraints, right? So you have, honestly till today, I don't know how we managed to house all those 17,000 students with a medical center and with a special trustee office on that campus. And that's what is interesting about the campus. It's a charitable organization. So they believe in affordable quality education. So along with junior college, we also have management and chartered accountants, a chartered accountancy institute. So that's very interesting. My school runs on a shift school. So it is the only shift school, and back again blame it on the space constraints in Mumbai. So we begin at 7 in the morning and we end at 6:30 in the evening, and that's how we run it in 2 shifts. Yeah.
I represent Vishwavidyapet group of schools in Bangalore. It is CBSE, ICSE and an IGCSE school with 2,000 plus students. And I represent the IGCSE campus. We have a huge campus, a beautiful campus, which is unlikely to be found in Bangalore. It's a huge campus with just few students. Right now, we have only 150 students. It is the advantage of being in such a small school with being part of the community where it is loud cared, and it is like a very small community where discipline is given a lot of importance. And We instill a lot of value for the Indian culture in our school. We do celebrate a lot of almost all the Indian festivals, and also we have yoga and Bhagavad Gita in our curriculum for our students. So where I manage, or I'm part of the high school where we have a Cambridge Pathway program run for the students, and it is a full day program. So that gives us ample space and time for being with the students for all the activities.
Harshit sir, I think you spoke early. Your turn was now. So you're going to talk about what is this? Is this your school in any way?
Right. So basically, the name is the Galaxy School Wadi, and Wadi means a farm. So actually, it's a sort of a farmhouse kind of a structure where we have huts, and some other units are gazebos, and of course from inside it's air conditioned. But that's how we have a very unique. This is the library on the whole campus, and likewise we have different huts for different classes and different grades. We would love to invite all of you to have a sneak into our campus. Yeah.
All right. Thank you for the invite, Harshit sir. So please, I'm going to share his contact details later on. So definitely worth visit. I've been there personally myself. It's wonderful. Okay. So right off the bat, after knowing your school background, so I hope so the people who just showed up, I'm just putting up a context. So we have a school with 10,000 students. We have a school with like slightly lesser than that, and we have a school which is just budding, like 150 plus students. So there are 3 levels of schools basically we are having, and how they are setting up the career counseling cell at their place in their unique setup. That's what we're going to talk about. This is for especially for the people who are just joining, and people, we have space in front, so please join in quickly. Yes. All right. So my very first question to you guys is, so Harshit sir, you are a business guy. I see that you teach business. Ma'am, you are a principal. All right. Already in a very strong position. And we have a CEO, Chief Exam Officer of a school, essentially. Why? Why do you make your life so demanding by getting into career counseling? So if you can just share, what was your attraction to this?
Okay, if I would talk about myself, I was very happy being a principal and thinking that now I have, I know everything that my job entails. And then IC3 came into my life and it turned everything upside down. I joined the 9 cohort, and after being with the flagship course for a year, I realized there was this huge vacuum, or vacant space in my student engagement that I needed to work on. And spending that time with the cohort, with the other career counselors, I realized since I may have a career counseling institute on campus, but it was very need based. So since I don't have a career counselor in my school, I learned that there's a lot more I need to do for my students. And that's how I found a new meaning, maybe a new purpose of me being a principal.
All
Yes.
right. That's interesting. Rashmi ma'am, what's your say?
I love listening to people. So rather than talking, I love listening. So my question first will be always, how's life? So that gives a long answer. So I was interested to hear from the high school students. They have a long story to say all the time. So that drew me attention to getting into counseling, being there for them for a meaningful decision making. So that's how I started my journey. From being a subject teacher to a secondary coordinator, and alongside being a career counselor. So active listening was the mantra, and empathetic conversations with the students. That's keeping me going, Vishal.
Right. I'm just adding to what during our conversation, she mentioned that she was earlier with a different school basically. So she started her IC3 journey and then she shifted to this. So that in, that feeling of, carrying it further to a new place. So again, I'm talking about here an important point about motivation, right? So I'm just helping you realize if at previous school you had been have established something and then you're moving to a new place where your roles are different, but still you're carrying on with that legacy and influencing over there. So she's one such unique case in her case.
Yeah, the learning continues from the previous organization to the new organization, and there's a lot to share with the community.
Harshit sir?
Yeah, so as I said, although I'm a business faculty, and it says that the only business of a business is to do the business. But at our school, we believe it's school for life, work, and change. And basically, our director always says, never say what is your total work experience in the number of years that you have been working, unless every year you have done something different. So, for example, if you're working for 10 years, don't say 10 years is the work experience. If you have been doing the same thing, it's 1 year of the work experience, unless you have done different all of the 10 years. So, fortunately, that's how even I landed into this wonderful space of college and career counseling. In fact, it was Vishal sir who recommended me to join this program, and it was really wonderful journey. So that's how basically, apart from being a faculty, business faculty, and doing great leadership, have also joined college and career counseling program, particularly with joining this cohort 9. Both of us, we share the same cohort. So thanks to IC3 and of course a lot of my wonderful cohort members, it was a great journey to share the energies and have discussions on the same.
Okay, so guys, directly getting into this, okay? So they're gonna share their story now, all right? So in no specific order, Rashmi ma'am, I want you to tell about your story, like what was your, initial steps when you started, okay? And I want our audience to know an idea, like what steps one by one you took, and what worked, what didn't work, basically.
So, to share a journey, it is very important to understand how and where I started. I started my journey as a subject teacher in a very small school, a Cambridge school. And as a subject teacher, I was very much involved with the high school students. I started teaching biology, and it was going full swing, like how Harshit sir said. Year on year, you are working with a question paper, mark scheme, you are waiting for the results, grades. That's how the journey was going. And as the school needed, the role changed to to a coordinator. So when I started became the coordinator, the horizon actually broadened. So I moved out of biology, then I started looking at the entire student as a whole, like what these children are looking at, just beyond the biology classroom. What is it? So then started my inquiry about grade 8 subject selection, grade 10 subject selection, and the life beyond grade 12. So that made me to think. And that's the time when my mentor, then vice principal, she encouraged me to start with IC3, the flagship program. So that was that first type when I started looking at what is the structured way of giving a student some kind of guidance. They all look forward for a lot of questions to be answered. To answer those questions, we teachers or the counselors need some kind of a support. That's the support which I got from the flagship program, and from there my journey started. That's where I started becoming an empathetic listener to my students. So they have a lot of stories to share. They have a lot of confusion with their subjects, the careers, the colleges, the countries, like that it extended. So from there, we started, that was at that time we had a career counseling department. So with the help of the career counselors and with help of a lot of other university members, we developed a career counseling curriculum. Right now, when I moved to the new system, I started the entire career counseling curriculum for grade 6 to 10. So we have the space and the time to engage all these students. And I have a great support from the management. My principal, Ms. Mitali, is here. She is also part of IC3, and that was a great support. So the principals and the administrators who are here, when you support the career counselors, that gives us the energy and that directly impact the student decision making also. So having said that, I want to pass on to the other panelists to share their journey.
So I am fairly new. I'm just a toddler in this entire, the entire career counseling field. I told you, IC3 happened and it just turned my entire, thought about what a student engagement is. So during the entire, the ICT, the flagship program, the past year, I started gathering ideas and listening to what the members, the other career counselors had to say. And I went back with those ideas. I must tell you a little background about my students and the parents. My students and parents come from the knowledge that, after grade 12, we continue with Mumbai University. There is no need of any specialization. If after grade 12 you need to specialize, there are only two careers, engineering and medicine. So I have come from there and I need to lead them. So for my students, it was more about exposure and giving them the knowledge. So I came back and started talking to my students into smaller groups. Why smaller groups? Because I have a time constraint with a shift school. So I don't have the luxury of having a career session for them. So in smaller groups, whenever I could get them during proxy sessions, during library sessions, I would speak to them about a campus life, the benefits of a campus life, the kind of universities, the programs that they have to offer. So I began with that. I started taking ideas from other career counselors back to my school and trying to bring about changes. Last year, I started a program called Career Talks. And the main aim of this program is exposure. So I would call in university representatives to have interesting workshops about their university programs. So the children had an exposure. I started inviting alumni also. There were parents who were interested in talking about the fields that they are in and some very different fields. So that was also a chance for children to know what are the careers that are open. At IC3, we learned that the first step is to allow the child to understand and reflect on their interest and their hobbies, right? And I came up with a special workbook for grade 6 and 7 that was all about self reflection. Back again, I don't have the luxury of a career session that I can devote in my timetable. So randomly, whenever I got proxy sessions, I've started that out. And through all these sessions, I'm also telling them about various careers that are coming up and exposing them to find out on their own about a little more. Then besides that, at the end of grade 8, schools always have this subject choice orientations. So now I've realized after IC3, it's not a subject choice orientation, but here I'm talking about careers related to subjects and helping parents understand how interests can be aligned to that. So that's how I have changed even the way I talk to parents during a subject choice orientation. My field trips for my senior students are now no longer to museums or science centers. Now we have interesting campus tours where they conduct sessions for us. I take them to companies that allow us a visit, and at the same time, children have an exposure into the kind of jobs and the requirements out there. So we've changed that. In my library, I have a small corner which I call the career corner, where I have put in all the brochures that I collect when I go out and visit. And we've made that attractive. So I have trained my librarian to ensure that students reach that corner. They ask questions. My main aim is to get them asking, what is this and why me? Because when they do ask questions, I can provide them answers. On my path, I am going out for seminars and orientation, so I get to learn more. I think this entire journey of being a career counselor is a continued journey. You can never be there and say, I know it all. So that is where I'm taking. My journey has just started, and I want to include more into this journey. Yeah.
Right. So basically, at our place, I mean, I would just like to share certain things which could also be very handy in setting up a new counseling center. So what we did is first we did a need assessment survey whereby we just try to figure out what is the gap in terms of, when I say gap, it's not about whether there's a need of college and career counseling, but what sort of need is there from parents' side, from students, from school, and that's how we try to craft, design a kind of a curriculum, and did stipulate the objectives whereby we'll provide comprehensive career guidance to the students, will help them with the college admissions, and of course ultimately make them ready for the world. So having done this need assessment and defined the objectives, we seeked the support from the school administration, which was really quite inducive in our case because our director himself was into career counseling. Students were going through him and he was personally advising students. So when it came to establishing this particular practice at our organization, it was always supported in that way. But then when it comes to resources, so a couple of resources required when we say the primary steps, initial steps to set up this center. So for instance, human resource personnel. Now, what we did is we don't have dedicated career counselors who exclusively work only for career counseling in the school, but we have educators. For instance, currently we have a team of 4 of us, and all 4 of us, we do directly, indirectly deal with academics, we have faculties. But then along by side, we pursue this kind of professional development program and then engage into college and career counseling. So that's how one of our colleagues did the cohort 1 of IC3 in 2017, and that's when we started with. Then second colleague did third one, and fourth one I'm completing today. So that's how, as far as human resource is concerned, without being required having exclusively dedicated personnel for that, this is how we have it. And now fifth person, one of my colleagues has joined the cohort just now. So that's how we deal with regards to human resource. When it comes to space, so at times it happens that there's a dedicated exclusive place whereby students can feel free to go over there, drop over there and ask for questions. The way we have psychology counseling centers, unlike those psychology counseling centers where we have dedicated space, we thought let's start working with students at the place of students. So what we did is we started scheduling 40-minute slots in their weekly curriculum, in their timetable. So grade 9 to grade 12, they have a 40-minute slot in the timetable itself. We have morning 9 to evening 4:30 school. So this includes academics, a lot of other activities, including sports and music and workshops and dance and art and whatnot. So within that, what we did is we tried to provision for a 40-minute slot in that. And that's how we have started with it. And then whenever initially we do work with the entire batch and then one-on-one gradually. So without having space resource being required, even as of now, we've been running this practice. In fact, now we are going to start from grade 6 onwards. So that was with regards to space. Resources with regards to, say, technology, material. Now, we had subscription of a paid resource, a portal to explore universities initially. But then later on, we realized probably we would like to carve the path the way it fits and is more appropriate to our practice. So then that's how we evolved and changed our practice with that adaptability. There are a lot of free resources right there with regards to, for instance, personality tests and whatnot. We do have journals in a library like Careers 360 or books, What's the Color of My Parachute, sort of. So that's how we gathered some resources, paid resources initially, as well as free resources. And that's how we started. So as far as finance is concerned, it wasn't really majorly required in terms of a dedicated staff or dedicated place. It wasn't. But yes, we do heavily invest into professional development on an ongoing basis. So that's where the organization does the investment. But otherwise, as far as infrastructure is concerned, not really much needed in our case. So that is how we initiated with setting up of college and career counseling practice at our organization.
Wow, that was too much of information one by one, right? Thank you guys for that. Now, so what I'm getting from you guys is like we have, yes, ma'am?
Careers 360. Yeah, it's a really nice magazine. The other one was book. What's the color of my parachute? Yeah, it's for work life, future careers. Also worksheets are there. Yes, please, sir.
Elaborate on that need assessment survey.
Need assessment, right? So what happens is if we, especially when we are beginning with this activity or when you are upscaling this activity, if we keep all our stakeholders in loop and try to gauge from them what is their need, what are they really looking out for that. So one of the main purposes of ours was why not provide guidance in-house. Otherwise, what happens is students would go to the external sources, which is fine, fair. But then why not also provide in-house? So with that purpose, we did this need assessment survey, trying to understand what is a need from perspective of parents, from students, from teachers, from school, and of course from career counseling practice. And that's how we try to design it such that it caters to all those sort of it. So doing that really makes the application very strong, particularly if you're really trying to or thinking of launching this program. If you have done this survey, it would make it really strong because for example, in business management, in marketing, there's concept of product orientation or market orientation. So product orientation, you make it and then try to sell it. You just try to push it into the market, which may work, which might not. But if you go for market orientation, you actually try to understand from customers what is their need. Based on that, design a product, and then it's highly likely to succeed in the market because that's what was actually need of it. So two things, one is need assessment survey and another is clearly defining the objectives. So we got to define the scope area because might not be possible to cover anything and everything under the sky of this, at least in the initial phase. Yes, please, ma'am.
You talked about that your school invested in professional development. Would you please elaborate?
Right. So one of the best examples is currently we are sitting over here. So whenever there are conferences of this sort, school really.
Few like that.
Sorry.
Your IC3 is known. Can you name few like that for other new counselors?
Yeah, so IC3 has a program. Now there are a lot of webinars which takes place, a lot of online courses, programs that takes place, a lot of subscriptions which are again part of professional development. So what happens is it's like, the way Stephen Covey says, the 7th habit of effective people, sharpening the saw. So that's where instead of heavily investing onto infrastructure, it's through this professional development whereby school really engages into investing, which really helps to sharpen the saw. In terms of the resources, material, enrolling for such programs, if people want to go, or people do go in the events like this in India, abroad, and that's where school really sponsors it, school really promotes it, facilitates it in every which ways, makes it conducive for the personnel to really pursue such kind of things.
Yeah, to be very specific, like I come from Bangalore. So last week we had a G2 and yeah, and then there are many universities which come and host in your own cities. So that makes it no, I'm talking about something apart from IC3, like University of Melbourne, Sydney, they had. That was, that's also another organization which bring the Australian universities together. So there are many other organizations which bring the universities together and will have counselors meet. So those are the things which we also invest on.
Guys, we have a list of questions already set for you guys. If you have questions, already there was a poll. People who have just joined, I'm just requesting, please scan this QR code, start posting your questions on that because there are some interesting things I don't want you guys to miss out. All right, so definitely these specific questions will take. So you can scan this directly or maybe just go to slido.com and the code is 2671611. So you can keep on posting over there. And also just to close the loop to your question, ma'am, there is something called NACAC, N-A-C-A-C. That's one place you definitely need to go. And also yesterday there was a session by UKIBC. So country specific embassy, actually the governments from different countries are having some in the Ministry of Education, some agencies like UKIBC, they are connected, so they promote their colleges, universities as together basically. So you want to check out with these guys. NECEC is one place. Another is UKIBC, which was there yesterday, 7 to 9.
iStep is, yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So those are some places you can explore apart from IC3.
And what was G2? It's a global about G2.
Yeah, it was a global conference wherein there was a networking session for all the counselors. Multiple universities were there, many partners were there. So it was an open forum for all of us to have an interaction.
Okay, guys. So my next question to you guys is: you have less than 30 seconds to describe your problem. Okay. And probably share a strategy. So one challenge, okay guys, only one challenge we are talking about that you faced, which was most difficult while establishing career counseling cell at your place. We start with Florina ma'am, please.
So I can, besides everything, I'll just name two problems. So the first one for me was aligning my vision with that of the management. So the reason that was a problem was because I have a school right up to grade 10 only. So, the perception is, why do we need it? They need career counseling after grade 12. So why now? That was one. And secondly, they said, with all your duties as a principal, you won't be able to manage this. But then when they saw the focus, the determination, it was easy to align their thoughts to my vision. And the second is the time constraint, especially for me, because I have a shift school and I barely get time for the academic program. So that's when I can't have the luxury of a special session assigned for career counseling. I have to make do and I have to manage. So those two are my biggest hurdles.
All right. Harshit sir?
You can't have stay-backs because another shift is.
Harshit sir, you want to go ahead?
Right, sure. So one of the challenges that we encountered was what happens is at the stage of preparing LORs when university applications are taking place. What happens is students, they do pursue a lot of things, but then they don't really save it, store it, organize the data right there from grade 9 until 12. Because generally we take into consideration the last 4 years of theirs. So to address this challenge, what we did is, and we tried to know from other schools, other counselors, what are their practices. And then we came out with a blend of a lot of different things and started with the practice of having a Google Sheet. So that's basically online collaboration is there. Students can edit it. We can look at it on live basis. And then we name it as a shortlisting of courses and colleges. So what happens is in this Google Sheet, there's one tab whereby they'll shortlist all the courses that they're looking out at, and they'll shortlist all the colleges that they're looking out at. They'll be considering the programs, and they'll be considering their study destinations, and based on that, they'll be listing down certain colleges as well, because directly if you tell them, it will take a lot of time. But if you tell them that list down 10, 15, 20, it will become easy for them to do, and then we can always narrow it down. So that's how we started with this system of having an online spreadsheet, Google Sheet. In between, we also tried with another different things. For example, last year I said, why not have something new and fancy? So like there's Facebook, there is Wakelet, which is a kind of, platform, social media sort of platform which students can. So we said, okay, now onwards, whatever activities they're doing, whatever certificates they're having, they'll upload as an image over there and just put down over there as a caption. But then again, we realized that sorting feature, which we actually get it in Google Sheets, is not really available. So when it comes to, saving alone is not enough. Retrieving the data the way we want it is also equally, or rather more important. So we shifted back to the practice of Google Sheet. So that's how, what I'm trying to say is data management, creating a Google Drive, telling students to upload their certificates, their mark sheets, their activities, whatever activities they've done, they can just quickly write down in short on that day itself, upload it over there on Google's Drive. It stays online. Computer may crash, Drive, you may lose the data, but nothing happens over there by and large. So that's how this is really wonderful practice. You may want to give it a try for.
I would say that challenges which I'm facing as a new school or a person who is starting the career counseling in the first place is buy-in from the teachers, the subject teachers. We do understand, or we do try and give them awareness in the beginning of the academic year saying that, look, counseling is this and we are going to engage parents in this way. Students will be engaged for 40 minutes in this particular classroom in this way. Universities will be coming. We will have engagements in our community and all those things. But when we start the academic year and when the portions are going in full swing, we always want to focus on the academics and the exams and only in that line. So that's the time when I feel a lot of challenge. So teacher buy-in is something I'm 100% sure we can work it out with having more awareness for the teachers and getting them to understand the relevance of career counseling in their own subject. So if a math teacher is able to talk to their children about the math careers, half our work is done. So that's something which I am working, and with the support of principal and everybody who is around, that becomes very easy to work on.
Let's try to know the challenges for everybody. So here's a next poll which is there in front of you.
Guys, if you can open your Slido app.
Yeah, conclusion will come back, but since you're asking, sure, let's have a look at it. So the first one on the highest of the rank is lack of awareness. So if we want to address this, of course, networking, reading, subscribing to such resources, because it's a kind of evolving, changing world. It's changing at a very fast, lightning speed. So that's how we got to stay updated with it. So lack of awareness could be addressed in that way. Another is integration with the existing program. I think a lot of people have also posted question with regards to this, how to design a curriculum. So we would like to talk at stretch about this integration with existing program. And then as far as space and staff resistance is concerned are anyway 4th and 5th. So that probably, as we talked about, can be dealt with. But yes, integration is what we'll talk about at stretch, how to do it. But till then, if you also want to know what do you feel? I mean, these are the challenges that we thought or we have experienced and shared. But if you all could quickly share, here's the next poll in your cell.
Actually, it is very difficult for the newbies to find out what is where.
Right.
Unless this G2 is something, it was existing, but I just came across recently because I'm new to the field.
Right.
So what do you suggest for the newbies, where to tap on, how to tap on? See, sometimes in the LinkedIn everybody posts, but when you scroll, you don't find it the next time. So
You have to catch the niche.
yeah.
Right, correct. So one of the ways is if you join a program, exhaustive program like this, the Empower program, which is a year-long program, and there are shorter versions.
So I think you will have to wait, okay? There is a delayed gratification. You can't hog 7 days food in a day, right? So you'll have to have patience, because why I'm saying this is an evolving field. Today what is relevant may not be relevant tomorrow, right? That brings to my next important question.
Since you're already part of code, what happens is, when you take off, you feel the speed of the aircraft. But when you're already there at a height, you feel like it's just stable, but it's actually...
Yep.
Right. Yeah. Correct, sir.
So guys, you need to have patience, okay? For all the newbies, I've been there, ma'am. I'm guilty of the same.
But it's
field.
good. Having that restlessness is good. That's which keeps us on our toes.
Okay, guys, 30 seconds. I'm giving you a timer. Otherwise, I'm cutting you off. Okay, all of you. So you're going way beyond time. We have important questions for these guys. So stakeholders, there are many stakeholders essentially, right? We talk about career counseling. So we have students. Yeah, students, parents then. Management, okay. Teachers, okay. Who else? Universities and other local partners for the, if you send your students for internship, basically. So these are the stakeholders. One stakeholder that you feel is important and how you are leveraging their power, to the advantage for career counseling. Rashmi ma'am, 30 seconds.
Pressure of time. So I would say, in my case, when we began the system, I felt parents were the most important stakeholders here. I do understand everybody is important when the mentioned names of the stakeholders, but I chose to invest a lot of time with parents. Parents were very enthusiastic to understand what this whole new system is, and they were also very interested to share their career journey. So I took the leverage of that, and we have a very diverse community of parents. So what I did was I invited them to have sessions. So these career guidance sessions, few of them were given to parents. So the parents used to come and they started sharing their career journey with the students. That was a hit. Not just amongst the students, amongst the teachers, and also the other parents. When the children went home and shared this particular session, the other parents also came back saying that, okay, I would also like to share certain things so that it will benefit the entire school community. One such example was a music director. She was a playback singer and a flute expert. So she came to school and she did it was a 30-minute session. So it was a hit. Everybody wanted to attend, and they wanted the grade 7 were like, why you didn't invite us? We also wanted to join that particular thing. We want to know more about how a music career can be taken forward. So now we are waiting for F1 racer. There is a parent who does this F1 racing. So we are all waiting for that particular session. So we keep this bus on so that everybody is exploring new careers and they are coming back. Ma'am, can you bring somebody who is into sports, into something which is very lucrative career? So they all are looking forward for this particular session.
I think for me that what worked was getting the alumni in. And they are always happy to come back to school and speak to the students. So they did, we started by inviting them. They spoke about the career. Some of them have already entered the careers and are well established. So they did speak about that. And I remember this one alumni who is studying astrophysics at Butler University. So he came and spoke to the students, and students had questions about how did you know you wanted to study this? What was your next step? So it gives them a whole lot of ideas about how do I tap my interest? How do I find out more information? And once you get started, you know, the word spreads. And all the alumni, now they want to come and talk. Now you don't need to look out. There's an entire list that we have ready. We just need to plan the talks with them. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as far as alumni is concerned, even at our place, what we do is we do invite our alumni and give talk, particularly when it happens to be not something which is really ordinary. For instance, Singapore, not really a lot of people are aware about the support system available from the government over there. So we invited our alumni and they gave a talk about, you know, half part of the fees, 50% of it is being waived off, with a condition that you'll be staying over there for 2 more years after completion of your graduation. So by that ways, by default, you get to stay over there. Also we had an alumni by one of our alumni who happens to be into film direction. The father happens to be orthopedic doctor. So unlike conventional way that, you know, the descendants would also pursue the same, chartered accountant son would pursue chartered accountants or a doctor's son. So here the father is doctor, but he's pursuing filmmaking, came back to our school and showed a film that he's been directing for. So apart from this alumni, what we also closely work with is we have internships. Students during their summer breaks, winter breaks, they do pursue their internships. That really helps students get conviction or reinforcement, either of the ways. For instance, one of our students, she wants to become vet. She did internship recently and she got 100% assurance that yes, this is where I want to be. There's another student who wanted to become dentist. After doing internship, realized no, this is not really something that I would really enjoy to do so. So that's how it really helps. And of course, other stakeholders involving parents. The only thing is, in our case, parents do not really have much kind of a pressure on students. Whatever students decide, they're generally fine with allowing them to choose any of the programs they wish to.
Okay.
How did you arrange these internships? I'm very new to this.
Right. So what happens is we try to figure out what is their interest area, you know, which domain, what is the career they're looking out for. And then we reach out to either student themselves through their connections, can reach out to organizations, and then wherever facilitation is needed, we would do that. Or we can connect them with the relevant organization wherever a student wants to pursue.
List a few if you don't mind.
List a few organizations that... Yeah, so we are based in Rajkot in Gujarat. So generally our students, they do it over there itself. Some of our students are coming from Jamnagar, which is nearby town as well. But yes, there are some organizations which are doing online as well. A lot of online courses also there. But I would recommend one thing, some of the online internships, some of the online courses are really that you just enroll for it and you can download the certificate regardless of whether you have really pursued or not. So what happens is just showing a certificate in itself might not make a lot of difference unless you have substantial thing to write down when you're writing an essay or statement of purpose, whenever you're writing essay for your Common App or so. At that time, if you have really pursued internship properly, you'll have a lot of stuff to share your experience. So if you are going for online internships, I would really recommend to check. Hope it is not something that you sign up and you'll get certificate.
One suggestion over here, I would just add over here. So parent community, you need to leverage their power. So you need to have a list of professions that they're into. If you're running a business or something, so if they can offer an internship, and vice versa, and we cultivate bonds. So it is not a mechanical thing basically. So you need to get in touch with parents. So that's one idea over here. Now there is a brimming question again and again coming to about curriculum, like when should the curriculum start from, and basically what should be the curriculum like, and what should be, someone has written perfect curriculum. Now just few thoughts, passing thoughts. First thing, IC3, when we started, cohort 4 belongs to 3-4 years back when we did, it was said that we start from grade 5. All right, counseling starts from grade 5 because that's the age where you can, and it's not talking about I become a doctor or you, whatever you want to become. It's about, exploring different career clusters or something as simple as that. If you want to make this connector, okay, this is also integration idea. I'm just pulling your. So if I have to make this connector, so what is required for that? Okay, fine. There is some designing aspect over here. Okay, there is some electronic aspect over here. So some engineering aspect. There is some form of rubber here. There is something to protect, to prevent the damage of this basically. So you put a picture of a house, of a camera, of a mobile, and then you make a group of students basically work on it. Which fields do you think this is correct, or what kind of skills are required? There is something called skills. They list what skills we need. Okay, then you map, okay, which careers can lead to this basically. So this is this is a very simplest example I can give right now because of the time constraint, but this is one thing. Now as far as perfect career is, curriculum is concerned, basically it's a matter of each school has its own, there are standards available online as well. You can check for different standards for different countries and places. It will differ slightly because a lot of economic and political backgrounds and opportunities and economic growth of the country that will depend upon. However, your and my task as a counselor is, you can add on to this, your and my task is not to tell what the child can be or something. We just have to show this is the way, this is also a way, this is also a way. So right, so now you walk, I will not walk for you, so you will have to give that opportunity, because there was a kid in our school basically, Harshit sir and I come from the same school, just fresh to this. Now there was a kid who wanted to become an engineer, very right from grade 8 had fixed and stuff, and then after getting into touch with us in career counseling, the child is coming and telling us, sir, I'm confused. I'm more confused after knowing about all the other options. So first I got a shock, okay, was that session so bad? And then I realized, no, the child was only looking, it's like it's a big panorama of careers options available, and I'm just focusing on the side of the canvas. So the child was not aware of the rest of it. So basically when those opportunities, open up to them, okay, this is also I can do, this is also interesting to me, then that is our moral obligation to actually make interesting careers. So now grade 6, we start with broad, then grade 7, again, we can narrow it down, again narrow down to 8. And it's very simple. We are not confirming anything. We are just exploring at this point in time, knowing what I like ma'am said. We have a book. She has made a book I knowing myself, first of all. If I know what I like, dislike, don't like, what I would like to work with, then start from broad and then you narrow down. And by the grade 10, basically, you have some fair idea. Okay, these are the big clusters I would like to explore. By 11th and 12th, you can still even further narrow down, specialize into. So we'll have to go in that sense, basically, as far as this is concerned. There is a question connected to any one of you.
Meanwhile, just to add about, although you're asking for monthly and weekly curriculum, but as sir shared, just to add on to that, this aerial view. So what we do is grade 9th grade 8th and 9th, we have them working more so on knowing their own interests, which kind of environment they would want to work with. Are they a social person, or would they like to work alone by themselves, interiors, outside? So we use the resources like, personality tests, 16 personalities, or Holland score for that matter. And then grade 10, of course, more so it becomes in terms of rigor catches because of the board year. But based on the personality tests, based on their psychometric tests, based on their interest areas that we have known, in grade 11th, we do have orientation first with parents, then with students on one-on-one basis, and we list down the subject selection activity that we do it. So based on that, in grade 11, it would be, they'll be listing down the universities, courses, programs that they would like to really pursue, furthering down to narrow it down. And then grade 12, we will move on to early college applications. So we have something like three-pronged approach, triad strategy. So one thing is we help them with English proficiency test, IELTS, TOEFL, whatever, sometimes students don't realize that university is not asking, but then immigration it will be required for. Secondly, we help them with university application, typically dealing with university application. One of our students studying in UMass Boston, graduating shortly on 19th of December, he has his final examinations. Before his A-level examinations were due, board examinations, when his mock examinations were going on, we gave the predicted score, he applied for it. By the time the results of A-levels came out, he started with his business management at UMass Boston. Just now he's just finishing it off. So that kind of proactive measure in terms of college applications is where we help them with. And third is with regards to entrance tests like SET and so on and so forth. Like, 11, 12, it's SET, or 9th and 10th, it's PSET. So sometimes students are again in dilemma that, should we really pursue that? So yes, sometimes not required. Some universities have become SET neutral. Either they don't need SET or they've become SET neutral. But then we say that what are you leaning towards? And based on that, if we recommend them to pursue for the same or not. So that's how these three areas our curriculum, revolves around.
Okay, guys. So we will, in next 60 seconds, we're going to end, but I just want to leave you with this note because there's too much of back and forth. You guys had those, questions popping up. So definitely we want that to happen because questions leads to new questions. And when we answer the new questions and the old question, there are more questions. So basically, just so that we don't forget. So in summary, okay, this is passionately crafted. So you want to take a picture of it. That's at the end. So basically, you need to assess the needs of your school, have goals, form objectives, and someone asked like, how do we approach our management? So you need to prepare a proposal, basically, where you propose, okay, this is what I think is required, this is lacking, and this is what we want, and it has to be a properly researched, proposal, basically. So I think if there is a positive, proper intent, to get this thing started, I'm sure no management would say no. Otherwise, there are always other places, options, basically, if you feel you're not being heard. Second thing, you need to have support from approval from leadership and what budget they can spare for this. With zero budget also, we can start creative ways. If you want to get in touch, we'll share our information for that. Definitely we need, and once it is approved, you need to design the curriculum, design the year calendar, basically how it looks like. When do you want internships? When do you have universities coming in a week? How many sessions you have? Like at our places, one session per week, basically. So in a month, we have 4 sessions of 40 minutes. Workshops, career fairs, one-on-ones with students. This is just the basic idea. You can add more to this. Another thing, what resources you guys are having, definitely books. They are the best investment that you'll ever make. Hard copy matters the most unless you want to have classes like mine if you don't have. Career guides, subscriptions, online resources, and also please remember, if you are sharing something with students, make it easy and accessible to them. All right, so that's why I have highlighted over here. And definitely you need to collab with teachers in your school, for sure, because as ma'am said, if you train the teacher, basically how they can inculcate. Okay, you give them picture what mathematics we can study from this, how to make this mobile phone, basically what math is involved. So that sessions, and you want to know more, you can get in touch with us. Partnerships, alumni. I'm sure we talked about space. Well, space or no space, you need to ensure that, the feeling of being a career counselor remains within you, and that ethos, you should carry on, and I'm sure your efforts will show. And last but not the least, reflect, you need to monitor, your progress. So let's say for the end of the day, when you monitor, you need to audit and adjust accordingly. And if you don't do this process, then you're bound to fail. That's for sure. Having said that, so you are a teacher, other roles and duties. If you're a counselor, welcome to our gang now. So you need to have a mindset. You need to join IC3, remain connected with them for a simple reason. Otherwise, you'll lose the connect. All right. That's why I'm saying I am not paid to emphasize on IC3, but I'm paid to ensure that you guys become the best counselors ahead. That's why this idea we thought, okay, this is very important. Definitely, readers are leaders. So if you are a poor reader, you have a scope to improve. All right, so that's up to you. So read a lot. Collaborate with people like you, whom you like, fellow teachers, senior counselors. So that will make your life easy. Definitely attend conferences. I think we already have discussed some of NECAC, whatever, IC3, regional forums, national, international, UKIBC, G2. This is very important. Let's say we will share the resources if you want. Ma'am would be happy to. She had already given her consent. If you want what book she has written, about for the knowing the child, we can share the resources. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Yeah, whatever ma'am has made, definitely. And so definitely my point I'm trying to make here is, so get in touch with, fellow counselors. And in your cohort group also, you have a place, right? How many of you are cohort members here? Okay, so you guys, you need to be active on that, okay, if you are really taking this seriously. So you need to share resources, maybe make a collab and, create some wonderful resources. I would highly encourage. And also IC3 library also has some resources which you can access to if you are not aware. Last but not the least, whatever the information that you are receiving right now, okay? So first thing is, being a counselor, that is internal. So you have to become the best version of yourself, right, to write a proposal so that you can walk on the roadmap that we just show in the previous slide. That's all from our end. If you give us a feedback, this presentation is yours. So I know you guys like taking pictures, so I did not interrupt. But if you give us a feedback, HD 4K quality, you can have access to this. It's freely available. So now again, I'm telling you one thing. If you can feel free to use this presentation at your will, edit whatever you want to do, for a simple reason. Now we have shared the idea with the fellow counselors. It's on the table. It is not our idea. It's our idea, right? So I want us to make this as viral as possible. Having said that, that's all from our end. Thank you so much for being over here. And I'm so sorry if I've been rude in any way to anyone in timing, because some questions we did have to cut, and also there were some other questions. 1 hour, definitely it's not enough. But we wanted to ensure you get a 360 view of, what is expected, and your time is worth it. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you
panel
very
members.
much.
Thank you, panel
for your
members.
valuable
Thank
time.
you.
Goodbye.